We've got Kevin Durant 13, Kobe Bryant 12, Steph Curry 11. Where are you?
Well, so here's the thing. I think, Kobe has gone through a very interesting arc of legacy that obviously was severely complicated by his tragic passing and the circumstances surrounding that. I think for the vast majority of the last 15 years, Kobe has been significantly overrated. And when I say significantly overrated, it's not because I'm like, man, he's like 15. It's because he was elevated into a true, is he the greatest? And if he's not, top 2 or 3 all time. And there is simply no legitimate argument for that. No one can create it. It falls apart at the lightest inspection. And that's kind of where he lived for a while. And now, just as of late, I know Bleacher Report did, their 100 greatest or whatever, and Kobe was right outside the top 10. And it felt like that, to me, felt like an overcorrection, where I think Kobe versus Steph is a legitimate argument. And I can understand, I think you could do, Lincoln Douglas style debate, tell me pick the side, and I could make a compelling case. So I don't mind that you have Steph, one spot ahead of him. I would have Kobe a spot ahead of him. When people are constructing the most obvious, hey, Kobe was great, but ... arguments, they're going to point to a few things. One is that the first championship, he was not yet a great player. So be it. That's true. And the next two, he was a great player, but he had arguably the most dominant NBA force ever, which is 01 and 02 Shaq, peak of his powers. And then they are going to quickly point to the 05, 06, 07, miss the playoffs, bounce in round 1, blow a 3-1 lead in round 1 during his prime. That is totally fair. Steph doesn't get that at all when, if we look at Steph post Durant, the Warriors have, in this more than half-decade stretch, they have won a title, missed the playoffs multiple times, gotten bounced early multiple times, and Steph has had some, rough moments. And it is, and again, I think Steph is right on the outside of the top 10 all time. I'm not knocking him. My point is, and his version of he had, Kobe had peak Shaq, is Steph for 2 of his 4, obviously had arguably the most stacked team of all time. And Durant's there, and Durant's winning finals MVP like Kobe, like Shaq was winning it over Kobe. So I just think there are a lot of similar, again, nits to pick. And so to me, the tie goes to just Kobe's impact as a defender, which is going to give him such a massive edge over Steph. And so that I think it's a legit argument. I would have Kobe ahead of him, but I think we are maybe approaching, homeostasis, if you will, in the Kobe Bryant arguments. There was a long time people thought it was outrageous to have Duncan ahead of Kobe. Right. Now it's become, for some, something of conventional wisdom. So I think that is more correct. But I just think that I think Kobe's always been competing with Duncan and Bird and now Steph. And people wanted him to be competing with Michael and LeBron and Magic. Yes. And I just don't think he was.
Yeah, I think that everything you said there was dead on. And I honestly think that when I started really rethinking the Tim Duncan thing was when I got to Kobe. And I was like, ooh. Because look, they've got a back and forth between the two of them throughout history with their teams going against each other. I have always said, I think Afro Kobe has proven to be underrated. I think 24 proved to be a bit underrated. But your point about the 3 down years versus Steph 3 down years are interesting, in part because the NBA has changed just a bit. And it is possible now for example, this version of LeBron James to only get past the first round of the playoff once in 5 years. That would never have happened in the iteration of the NBA that we're talking about before, right?
Yep.
If you had a player as good as that, you were going to get a round, maybe two. Like, you were going to get there. When that happened with Kobe, and the part that I have trouble shaking in my head is flat out watching him quit in Game 7 of the 2007 first round against Phoenix, where he just flat out stopped taking shots to prove some point, right? Like
up 3-1.
Up 3-1.
In a series you had been up 3-1, flat. So that is the other part. Flat out quit and then demanded a trade.
Yes,
and then went and then was talking. It is now if you tell people, oh man, he was caught on video bad mouthing his teammates. People don't understand what caught on video in 2007 meant. You must have been saying this to everyone you saw for weeks on end before you ran into someone who had a handheld camcorder on them to where they could get it. Like, caught on video back then meant you got really unlucky or it's all you were doing. It's not today. Nobody was walking around with video cameras. And so that part, he went on Stephen A's radio show and asked for a trade.
Said he wanted to go to Pluto.
Yes. And so that part has been a little bit memory hold. And again, I'm not trying. I think he is obviously an all-time legend. And I do think that there is another thing I believe. I think efficiency once upon a time was wildly underrated. And now, like that, I'll go back to the Bleacher Report list, which had David Robinson like cartoonishly high. I think they had him like 14 or something. I think there are certain things where some of the analytics can be misleading. I want to ask one Durant thing before we get to what my real issues are, because you're right. I have some real issues.
Well, hold on. Let me say one thing right fast before you get to Durant. On Steph, I think a big part of me on Steph is this. Who do you think had a better supporting cast? Kobe Bryant in 2009 and 2010 or Steph Curry in 2015?
That one I think is close. I don't think it's close 2022. I think that Kobe had the far better supporting cast than Steph for his final title.
Right.
Go ahead.
This is why I say that. I think that as Michael Jordan made a Hall of Famer of Scottie Pippen, I think that Steph Curry made Hall of Famers of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. That's a big thing for me, is I think we underrate the level to which the presence of Steph Curry, once Steve Kerr got there, elevated everybody that was around them. That's why they could win 73 games the next year and need to go get Kevin Durant after that season, because they really didn't have as much as it looked like they had.
So I think that's totally legit. I think that obviously there's a million ways Draymond's career plays out, and this was the absolute best case scenario. You know what I mean? There are no better versions for Draymond Green than everything that fell. And he obviously earned it. I do think that, but I think that goes in the other direction at least a touch as well, which is Draymond being so brilliant defensively and such a tough leader. I think that there were better players that could have been Steph's, defensive anchor or whatever, and Steph's career they don't reach the height they reached there. All right, my only Durant question is how much do you care that post Warriors he has played 0 games past round 2, and it really feels like only has had one stretch of high leverage basketball, and that was that round 2 series against the Bucks where he played the best basketball of his life.
Now, if his foot's back just a little bit in 2021, the way we talk about him and the way we talk about Giannis are both wildly different. Like, Giannis is in the Paul Pierce, Dirk Nowitzki. Boy, that one title changed a lot, didn't it, list, right?
Correct.
Like they're both there. I think Kevin Durant has an argument around 2017 for having been the best player in the NBA. right? I think you and I would both agree that it was probably LeBron James through that stretch. But in 2014, when he won the MVP, I mean,
Yeah.
he has an argument that he was the best player in the NBA, at least for that season. Then you go and you put LeBron and the Cavs out 2 times. You hit the shots that wind up doing it. I think we don't give him enough credit for the peak at that point. But yeah, everything that happened after that, I think I'm not an apologist for him, but I think he gets a bad rap for leaving a place that clearly made him miserable. And
Well,
I think we penalize him for that.
I don't criticize him for leaving Golden State because it was remarkable to me how many people were like me in the media saying, why did you go there? This is bullshit. You shouldn't have gone there. And then when he left, they're like, that was sure stupid. You could have won all the titles. I'm not going to criticize a guy for going somewhere and then criticize him for leaving.